And when you're out in the field, and I've got pictures of me, behind the truck, relieving myself and those kind of things. And I shared all the, terrible food that we enjoyed. It wasn't all a bed of roses, but that was what was so great about it as far as I was concerned. I look back on those days and thank God that I had the opportunity to experience it, because I think it's just made me, a better person than I am. And I don't pretend to be a great person, but I mean, without my military experience, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm listening to that news every day about what's happening in Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq, and I can't imagine those poor guys. I just,
Right.
I feel so blessed to have come through it in a period of time, and like I said, especially my sons, because it was nothing to me to go in. I mean, I was going in, that was it. There was nobody to say, oh, poor Paul, But my sons, I don't know whether I would have told them to go to Canada or what, During the Vietnam War was a terrible war. It was terrible. I mean, just those kind of experiences. But and then there were some pretty mean, higher-ranking guys in the service. That one guy said was from Chicago, and I was from Detroit, and he didn't like anybody at all from Detroit. So I had a toothbrush with some soap, and I had to scrub a whole damn cafeteria, mess hall, on the floor with a toothbrush and soap and water.
Do you think that teaches you anything?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought to myself at the time, what an a-hole this guy is, and he was, but he had the rank. That was part of discipline. I mean, I was told by a superior ranking corporal or sergeant, whatever he was, what to do, and I damn well better do it. And when we'd have to, take a smoke break, and after the break, he'd say, all I want to see is asshole and elbows, and they'd be down picking up all the butts and putting them in the cans.
Right.
You'd be stooped over. That's where the a-hole and the that's where that came from. And same thing with, and then they'd want you to dig a 6 by 6 inch trench to just to get something to do. And as soon as you're through, you fill it back up. I mean, that was just something.
What do you think that was designed to do?
I think it was designed to do what you're told to do when you're told to do it.
Right.
And I mean, I saw some kids that took exception to that, and they didn't end up. I mean, there was no way. I knew better enough that I wanted an honorable discharge. I didn't want a dishonorable one. So, excuse me. I've always been outspoken when it comes to, if I could raise my hand and say, do you mind if I have a say in this? And if the answer is just, shut up and sit down, then I shut up and sit down. But I'm outspoken, and I often, one time I didn't get a promotion when I thought I should. And so I asked if I could see the company commander. And I said, okay, so a couple of days, whenever I got the appointment, I went and knocked on the door, and I came in, saluted him, and he said, what are you here for? I said, I'm here, sir, because I'd like to know why I wasn't promoted in the last list of promotions. He said, well, when's the last time you've been Soldier of the Month? I said, I think it was about 3 months ago, sir. He started, and in 2 weeks, I was promoted to my next rank. I mean, I would still probably have been a private if I hadn't, spoken up. So a lot of guys, I guess, wouldn't do that. They'd just say, well, maybe next time I'll get it. I'm not that kind of a guy. So that was the experience I've told my kids to, always speak up for yourself. Don't be disrespectful, but make sure you have your day if you feel strongly about something that you express it. And I always have. Sometimes it's gotten me into trouble, but at least I have had my say.
So So if you were to describe what you remember and how that translated into the way you brought up your children, what did you learn from those 2 years in the military that carried over, basically?
Well, certainly discipline. And I, as a child, I mean, like I say, my mom died when I was 3, so I can't tell you that but later, from age 10 or 11, through high school, I mean, I actually did scrub floors, and I did peel potatoes, and I did do whatever I had to do to help my siblings and my dad, who was out working for us all the time. So, I mean, I had my duties to do, and it was never, Paul, make sure you do this. I mean, I came home from school, nobody was there, and I got out the pail in the water, or I got out the potatoes, or I did whatever, I knew that had to be done to make life easier for all 5 of us. So the discipline part of it, I think being held accountable is a very strong attribute. I think through the years that I've had, when I've had lots of employees reporting to me, that, to hold people accountable for what they're supposed to do. I've always held myself accountable, sometimes to the dismay of my roommate. I'm very, mass starts at 10. We don't get there a minute after. We get there at 1:45 or something, that kind of a thing. That still drives her up a wall a little bit. But those kind of things, I mean, you don't, when you're in the Army and that bugle blows, you're not taking a few extra naps or winks from nighttime. You better be the hell out there, or else you're going to pay the consequences of it.
You were very young.
I was.
Very young. What did your father say?
My dad, bless his heart, never laid a hand on me. Just a good old Irish boy. And I think people have asked me who's had the most influence on my life, and I tell them my mother did. My mother died when I was 3. So how the hell can your mother? Because I believe my mom's up there, and she's been directing me all my life.